There's a support strike in Marvel Rivals because Necros said supports are the worst players on the team and they're morons. Where? I haven't seen any serious organised strike. All I see is support players getting sick of the role because of the awful SR gains and unfun dive meta. Going on a strike because DPS players are dogging on you seems silly to me. This has always been an issue even in video games before Marvel Rivals, like Overwatch. Yes, it's annoying when it happens, and I also hate when a DPS player is telling me how boosted and terrible I am, but who cares? Who cares what Necros says about support players or anyone else? I think instead of striking, we should keep reporting these toxic players using racist, homophobic, and sexist rhetoric and get them banned. Be confident in your own ability as a strategist and try not to let toxic players affect you. Mute people and turn off voice chat if you need to. Don't let other players bully you off of the role you enjoy the most. I do agree that content creators such as Necros have a wider responsibility with such a big audience to watch what they say, as they have a lot of influence on players even if they don't realise it. But with the amount of rage baiting going on, no one should take these comments seriously. A lot of these takes are usually to appease a hypothetical creator's audience and get a reaction from them. We know our role takes skill, and that's all that matters. Focus on your own gameplay and protect your peace. I usually find that DPS players are the ones being the most toxic. They're usually the first to call out someone's bad plays and to let them know how overweight and ugly they are. They're usually the first to refuse to swap characters, and anything with any resemblance of teamwork and adapting to help your team is completely off the table. Now, if you're a DPS player watching this, you're probably going to disagree with that. And while I'm aware that this isn't all DPS players, that's exactly how Strategist players feel when you generalise that all supports have no clue what they're doing and they're all boosted. However, I do think there are some pretty bad Strategist players on this game. They have zero awareness and they don't really know what they're doing. This is because Strategist is the easiest role at a low level. It has the lowest barrier to entry. It's a lot easier to lock in a Strategist and do an okay job than other roles. But mastering the Strategist role and playing them to a higher level is where the skill ceiling heightens. Some Strategists have a complicated kit and require precise aiming, just like a DPS or tanks kit. Additionally, locking in Strategists in Season 2 is exponentially harder than locking it in previous seasons due to the dive meta, and I'll address that later. So the popular criticism against Strategists right now is partially correct, and as a Strategist you need to accept this and understand this. So be more than just a heal bot and show your team how good you are. But also, if the strategist on your team isn't the best, you can give them helpful advice instead of attacking them, but I know that's a crazy concept. But back to the strike, if you want to know whether players are actually participating in the strike, the simple answer is no. The support strike is largely a clickbait phrase. Most of the content creators making videos calling for a strike aren't even strategist players themselves. It's a hot topic right now, so you have to be careful who you listen to and check that they're not just farming views. There's no coordinated strike that I'm aware of, but I do support strategist players moving to other roles and having more fun there, while the strategist role is lying in a cesspit. So let's talk about the real issues aside from whiny DPS players calling us boosted. The SR gains. I made a whole video on this which I'll link to in the description. It's a quick video, so go give it a watch. I won't reiterate myself, but I'll summarize the issue. Strategist players are often finding themselves gaining less SR when they win and losing more SR than they lose compared to their teammates. And in short, this is because the system seems to favour final hits and eliminations and doesn't appear to weigh healing as an equally important factor when dealing with SR. This issue really only starts around the Diamond Plus rank, which is where your SR gains will start to level out. This leads to strategists that don't pick up a lot of eliminations and damage, such as Rocket, being heavily penalised by the system. I like that the system doesn't want to reward heal botting and wants strategists to be proactive, but basing it on stats is just too linear. Some strategists simply can't rack up the stats as easily as others. One specific area that I haven't mentioned yet, which the SR system falls down on, is when your team gets stomped. If your team gets absolutely rolled and you're in a particularly bad game, this is when you'll feel the system punish you the most as a strategist. Your DPS are likely to pick up a few solo kills here and there, and it's pretty easy to swap to Moon Knight and pad your damage stats to save your SR. Whereas a strategist can't do that as easily, so the second your KD becomes negative, the system thinks you are detrimental to your team. Even if there was nothing you could do about it, it seems that assists and healing definitely is not valued as highly. I do want to note that if you queue with players who are a lower rank than you and you're the highest rank in your group, you will find the difference in the SR gains you receive. You will win less points and lose more. so don't get this mixed up with the Strategist issue. And again, if you're diamond or below, you might not be experiencing this issue. The second real issue is the dive meta. I've seen a lot of players and content creators denying that there's a dive meta. Please don't listen to them. As a Strategist player, I can confirm this season is all about holding W, running forward to the enemy backline as fast as you can and taking out the healers. But Sheik, there's no dive meta. Tell that to the Captain America, Iron Fist, Spider-Man and Psylocke beating my ass at the same time. A lot of dive tanks and aggro tanks were buffed going into Season 2, meaning that triple tank comps and comps with 2 dive tanks with 0 shields are being played quite often. Dive meta is new to Marvel Rivals. If you hadn't had prior experiences with hero shooters and you haven't had to deal with dive before, it requires a real learning curve. It's going to take a while for DPS and tank players especially to realize they actually have to turn around and help their strategists. You can spam need healing as much as you want. I can't heal you from the grave. Dive team comps require your team to work together even more than with regular team comps, which as you can imagine poses many a challenge. If you are a DPS or tank player watching this video, I'm a top 500 strategist player and I'm telling you, you need to help your strategists. Even a pro player can't survive with 3 divers bending them over. And no, the answer isn't switch to Loki. While Loki does help against dive, it doesn't mean you can just ignore your backline and then wonder where your healers went. We're dead. Strategists have so many responsibilities in Season 2. Keep the entire team alive, keep yourself alive, track enemy ultimates, build your own ultimate super fast, and most importantly, position yourself so you don't get instantly picked off, which is super hard to do in this season. If you're playing strategists at a less than professional level, it is much harder in Season 2 because of all the threats you are now facing. The meta is forcing players to improve and this will take time. So SR gains and the meta are 2 of the main reasons why strategist players might be trying out other roles and not locking strategists for the time being, but by no means is there an organised strike. In my experience, I've played many games this season in and around the top 500 players where I am the only person willing to play strategist on my team usually, and I've also watched my friends play games with 0 strategists being locked in a game at all, and it's an instant loss. High elo ranks is definitely being ruined because most players are selfish and only care about safeguarding their SR. They don't want to risk playing a healer in case they lose a lot of points. And a similar thing is happening in most games where strategists are getting sick of being permanently dead so they lock in something else. As I was making this video, Marvel Rivals tweeted out an update. To summarize, they are aware of the issues and have acknowledged that both Vanguards and Strategists face a disadvantage and some DPS heroes have an advantage. They are going to optimize the calculations in the next patch for SR games. They have also said that in each match, hero performance rating is calculated based on the average key combat data for that hero at the player's current rank, and when you exceed this average data, the more points you will get, which is interesting to say the least, as I'm not sure how many DPS rockets there are and why rocket gets penalized so much, if this is the case. I'm going to assume there are some errors that the devs are ironing out. They have also stated that the damage capabilities of certain strategists are going to be increased next patch, and characters like Captain America and Spider-Man are going to receive nerfs. And lastly, they have stated that Vanguard and Duelists must not only attack effectively but also provide better protection for their strategists to achieve victory. And here's the screenshot to prove it. And just before we reach the end of this video, I want to address something I saw today. Necros tweeted this: "Hey guys, sometimes you'll find people you disagree with on the internet, but that doesn't make it okay to send them death threats. I want to make it clear that no one should be sending death threats to anyone, especially over a virtual debate on a video game, and if you are doing that, you should be ashamed of yourself. I'm covering this issue and making videos on it because I believe I have quite a lot to add to the conversation and offer my experience as a high elo strategist player. I'm not making these videos to fuel hatred or death threats to be sent to anyone. Please be kind. At the end of the day, this is a game about superheroes fighting each other." Let me know what you guys think to the support strike and the strategist problem right now. Hopefully the devs will fix the SR gain issue soon. I have faith in them. Make sure you check out my other 2 videos on this topic and I'll leave a link to them in the description. And lastly, come shout at me on Twitch. I stream strategist gameplay regularly. I'll see you guys next time.